Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, I confiscated this guitar from one of my friends. You may notice it's a very similar guitar to the one I have up there, my Gibson SG. And in fact, they were actually made 2 days apart from each other, at least whenever they were stamped. So that's pretty cool. However, this guitar is filthy. This is obviously not my friend's fault. It was sent to him this way, but this is the driest fretboard I've ever seen on a Gibson. It's also one of the dustiest. I'm just noticing this now, but the tuner is unscrewed partly. That's not something you want. The strings are completely old and dead, and the neck is bowed pretty bad. So I took this guitar from his house, with his approval of course, and I'm just going to give it a good refresh. I'm going to polish the frets, going to tighten the tuner, going to make sure it's all clean, hydrate the fretboard, and do all of that for him. And most importantly, straighten the neck. So let's hop right into it. Alright, here we are with the Gibson SG. Now, what supplies am I going to be using for this video? Well, I do have an arrangement of microfiber cloths. These are made for cars, but they can work with guitars and everything like that. And to polish the frets, I have another car product. This is Meguiar's Car Polish. I don't know if I actually need them to polish the frets, but if I do, I'll show you the process. If I don't, all you gotta do is just put a little bit on a microfiber towel like this, make sure the frets are protected, and just kind of give it a good rub with the microfiber towel, and it should polish them up just nice. But we're just going to start with cleaning the fretboards and see how that does for the frets. I also have an arrangement of tools, such as this awesome multi-tool that I got from Guitar Center. It comes with basically every guitar tool you'll need, including a Gibson-style truss rod adjuster, which comes in handy a lot. I also have a screwdriver, just a little one, to get the truss rod cover screws out, as well as some string cutters. In addition to that, I also have a tuner, a guitar pick, and I already mentioned these, but the fret protector slot thingies. Well, let's just start off and detune all these strings and then cut them off. Now the reason I detune them before I cut them is that way there's not a ton of tension on there and they don't snap back at me. Whenever they're loose like this, the chances of them bouncing all around the place is much less. Now the action on this guitar was unbelievably high, whenever he got it from the previous owner, he being my friend. And what I think that is due to is because the neck was bent. Maybe the previous owner didn't know that, and so he just increased the action to try and eliminate that buzzing that can occur. And in doing that, that raised the action, making it not very easy to play. I think another way that the neck could have bent is because the person put on really heavy gauge strings on this, which are much heavier than the ones from factory, causing the neck to bow. And I think that's probably just another reason why the neck bent. And with all the strings off, you could really take a good look at just how dusty this is. That's absolutely disgusting. So I'm gonna take off the bridge and tail piece, take one of my microfiber towels, and just give this thing a good wipe down. Now thankfully this guitar is not old enough to where the buildup of all the gunk and dust and stuff like that is going to affect the metal at all. So thank goodness we got to it before that could happen. As you can see, it's still pretty clean underneath there. Not sure how in focus that is, but all you gotta do is just wipe it down before it gets too bad. That kind of shows what regular maintenance on guitars will do, and it'll stop a lot of bad corrosion and rust and stuff like that if you just take good care of your pieces on your guitar. Of course, I'm just polishing up the pickups here, because I mean, you guys saw how dirty they were before. Adding back on the bridge. And I'm just doing the same thing to the tailpiece here, just making sure it's not dusty so nothing can really start growing on this thing. I'm gonna leave this off for now until I put the strings on, that way it doesn't fall off and scratch the guitar. Again, just do the same thing with the headstock, especially because it's a lot easier with the strings off. Just giving it a good wipe down, making sure all of the dust is removed. And look at that, that's just a million times better. Now the fretboard. This thing's disgusting. So what I'm going to do is take a guitar pick, something that's not hard enough to really scratch the wood, or if it is, not too bad, and I'm just gonna start scraping off all of just the buildup that you can see in there. That's old, oils from your fingers, that's skin cells, it's disgusting. So make sure you guys clean your fretboards, because that stuff is not good. Especially because sweat and stuff like that is acidic by nature, which can damage your guitar over time. So make sure you guys scrape off and clean your fretboards. Now thank goodness it is only really bad on these upper frets here, not the lower ones, because those are a little bit hard to get to anyways. And as you can see, all of that powder and stuff like that is just stuff I just scraped off of the fretboard. That's definitely not stuff that you want cooking on there for a long period of time. So just gonna take a microfiber towel and just wipe all of this stuff off of your fretboard. Again, you don't want this on here for a long period of time. It's disgusting. Next thing I want to do is just hydrate the fretboard and see what that does, because this fretboard definitely needs some more life into it. Dunlop makes these awesome little fretboard conditioner oil things, and it has this easy applicator, which I've never used before, except for the last guitar I did, and these things are awesome. Just gonna go fret by fret here, and just make sure each one gets a nice even coating of this oil here. This is going to hydrate your fretboard. The wood in the fretboard is going to absorb it, and it's going to breathe new life in the instrument. You want to make sure it sits there for a while though. You don't want to wipe it away immediately. You want to give it maybe 10-15 minutes to soak it all up, then wipe up the excess, then you go in and do it again if it needs it. This one probably will need another coat. Again, just make sure the fretboard is covered evenly, that way it all gets a nice good amount of hydration to the wood. And while the fretboard is drying, I have another little life hack that I can show you guys. Now this one is very common, but it's also very helpful. What you want to do is take some kind of a mechanical pencil, something with graphite, and just kind of draw almost in between the nut slots. What the graphite of the pencil will do is kind of give it a little bit of lubrication. That way it makes it a little bit harder for your strings to slip in the nut, which obviously is a very high friction point on your guitar. So again, all you gotta do is just kind of get a little bit of graphite in there and then wipe away the excess with a microfiber towel. And voila, you have a nut that is lubricated. They make little syringes and stuff like that you can actually get some much higher quality lubrication in there, but a pencil, it does its job and it's cheap. It has now been about 10 minutes and I'm going to wipe off and just remove the excess oil from the hydrate. And unfortunately you can't really see on camera, but this microfiber towel is now filthy. And feeling the fretboard here, I can tell that it's still a little bit dry, so I'm just gonna throw on a quick layer, maybe wait 5 minutes instead of about 15, and then wipe it off. And now that I've just wiped off the fretboard, it's feeling much, much better. But as I can see here, the frets are still not that polished. So what I'm going to do is take one of these little fret protector things, place it on. I'm going to take some of this Meguiar's car polish, pop it open, and then just put a tiny bit on the edge of a microfiber towel. I kind of rubbed in a little droplet into the towel here. That's about how much you should have. If you guys want some of this, I will leave a link in the description. It will be an affiliate link, so if you purchase it, I will get a little bit of a kickback. So if you guys like this product, pick it up. I'm just going to take the towel here, secure the fret protector thingy, and then just kind of give it just a little rub. Just apply some light pressure, nothing too crazy. And as you can see, the fret is all ready. And look, oh my gosh, look how much dirt just came off the edge of this. You want to take the other side of your towel, and unfortunately some of that is going to get on the fretboard. Just make sure you wipe it off and it doesn't absorb into the fretboard. But look how disgusting that is. And even look from here to here, you can just see how much shinier this fret is. I'm going to do that to all of the frets, and I'll show you guys how it looks. I'm only about 4 or 5 frets in, and you can just see how disgusting this towel is. Think about it. All of that is on your fingers when you play. Clean your guitars. Every couple frets, every 2 or 3, I like to switch to a different part of the towel, switch to a clean part. That way I'm not contaminating the frets. It probably won't cause any damage. You just don't want to rub dirt back onto new frets. And as I wipe off all of the excess that got onto the fretboard, regardless of these protectors here, you can just see these frets are absolutely completely different than they were before. Just look how shiny each and every one of these frets are. And there's your final look at the microfiber towel I used. Again, look how disgusting that is. So this guitar is about ready to have some strings thrown onto it. So I'm using these D'Addario 10 252s. This is what he requested. These are the strings that he likes from what he played his last guitar on. And now that it's all stringed up, I hope that transition was okay. Now that it's all stringed up and up to tune, you can also still tell that the neck is bent. I'm not sure if you're able to see it from that angle, but the neck is still bent. Now I'm going to show you guys how to take care of that. On a Gibson style instrument, there's 2 screws on the truss rod cover here. Remove the truss rod cover, and there you are. You can see the truss rod not there. Now what you want to do is, if you're a first time, ever doing adjustments here to a truss rod, you want to make sure you take your measurements. There's tons of videos on how to do that. I'm not really going to go over that. I'm just going to eyeball it. You take one of these. One of these will come with your Gibson instrument, especially if it's a new model. And this guitar is bowed, so it needs to be tightened. So if I'm standing here, I'm going to get this on there, and I'm going to tighten it this way. Is this maxed out? Nope, it is not maxed out. Whew, thank goodness. There's just a lot of gunk in there that needs to be cleaned out. There's just some, it looks like paint, I'm guessing. Get that out of there. There was just a bunch of old dried paint that was keeping the truss rod from being turned. Thank goodness it is not maxed out. That would have made this video a lot more interesting though. So, just gonna put on the adjustment tool. I'm so relieved right now. And we're just wanting to do a quarter turn at a time. You don't want to do anything more than that because these activate quickly. It's not going to be a super gradual thing. So if you do too much at one time, you can risk cracking your neck or something crazy like that. It's unlikely, but it could still happen. So I'm just going to do a quarter turn tighten, maybe even a little less than a quarter turn. And I'm going to wait a little bit, maybe about 10 seconds, and I'm going to tune it up again. And after that, it is still bent, so I'm going to go in and do another quarter turn. And if you don't know what the truss rod is, all it is basically a long screw that's underneath your fretboard, and basically if you tighten it, it bends the neck this way. If you loosen it, it bends the neck this way. Gives it a little bit of relief. It is already looking a lot better. I'm guessing another quarter turn is going to do it. And with that, the neck is as straight as you want it. You don't want it to be 100% straight. You do want a little bit of playroom there because as the strings vibrate, you want them to move without buzzing. But as you can see, the action here on the lower strings are a little bit too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these Allen wrenches that comes with this nifty little multi-tool. Should be this one here, if I'm not mistaken. It is. And all I'm going to do is just tighten it a little bit, maybe just a quarter turn there. And yes, that's basically perfect. The neck is straight, the action is lowered. I'm actually going to lower this pickup here because it's a little bit too high. I'm guessing the original owner did that as well because of the high action he had to do because of the bent neck. And that should be about good. This guitar is set up. With around an hour and a half of time and a few simple hand tools, this guitar is a new guitar. Something as simple as straightening the neck and lowering the action can just give a guitar a whole other feel and make it feel like a completely different instrument. Hopefully that microfiber towel showed you guys how dirty your guitars can get and how important it is to clean them. Well, Zane, I hope you like your guitar and I hope you guys like this video. If you guys loved it and you want to see more content from me, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.